Hey, good evening, everyone. It is 7 o'clock. It's meteorologist Justin Stapleton. Thanks for joining me here at clicktohouston.com and, of course, on our YouTube channel as well. Let's get you an update of what's happening. We've got the Olympics on our main channel, so if you happen to get an alert on this, pop us up on your either iPad or certainly on your phone. You can watch the Olympics. I got it over on the monitor here, just kicking off. Should be a great night of Olympic competition. But what we're talking about over the next couple of minutes here is that we're starting to see some changeover. And not only is this rain starting to change over into some light icy mix, that's anything from sleet to freezing rain. We've also gotten some bursts of light snow pushing its way across some of our northwestern counties. Now, the problem is that even if it just stays rain for a good chunk of, let's say, eastern Harris County on down towards the coast, we will see those temperatures eventually dip below freezing tonight. So even those wet roads will become icy out there. That's where we'll have to watch very carefully. So folks up across Livingston towards Conroe, quick little burst of snow there. Right along the I-45 corridor towards Kingwood, probably going to start to see a bit of a icy, sloppy mess as we go in towards the south side here. Still rain into Liberty County, into a good chunk of downtown. We're starting to see a change over here across Fort Bend County, and then Alvin down towards, let's say, Galveston, Lake Jackson right now. The winds are howling out there. The wind chill is going to be a whole nother issue, which we'll get to here in just a second. But also seeing some changeover around El Campo, around Palacios, Victoria up to Yoakum and Giddings as well. So just be ready for it tonight. If you're watching us at home, you don't have to go out. Park it for the rest of the night. Should be able to get the temperatures up above freezing by about lunchtime tomorrow, and we should be off and running after that. We'll be just fine. But the exact track, as we mentioned, is going to continue. It's initializing fairly well with our Futurecast. That's the good news. And notice that basically presses it down around the coast by about 8, 9 o'clock tonight, and then eventually offshore by about 10, 11 o'clock. Should wrap up after that. But as I mentioned, the problem is that the temperatures are going to tank behind here, and that's where we'll likely see any kind of wet roads likely become fairly icy very quickly. That includes the bridges and overpasses as we go into tomorrow morning. Couple of quick snow flurries not out of the question by 6 a.m. Everything should be done after that. So one of the problems that you have here is that as the temperatures stay above 32 degrees, most of that is all falling as rain. But once we start to get the column of air, think of a sort of as a vertical slice like a Pringles can from the clouds all the way down to the ground. We get into the 20s, all that falls basically turns into either ice, freezing rain, sleet, or of course, if the whole thing is frozen, which it won't be in our case, that comes down as snow. A live look right here from the KPRC 2 studios showing the temperature still above freezing in across southwest Houston here, 35. Dew points are also falling, and the north-northwest winds make it feel much colder than that. Notice we've anywhere from Katy, Tomball, Huntsville, Brenham, College Station, even out to Columbus in the upper 20s now. So those are the places where even though the precipitation is ended, it is still going to be icy for the rest of the night. We add in those strong winds, and it feels like it's the low 20s to the teens out there. So very, very cold forecast. And those wind speeds are anywhere from right around 12, 17, 14, 17 miles an hour to about 21 miles an hour as you work your way on down to the coast. Wind gusts even stronger than that, and that will likely be much of an issue for tomorrow. We'll dry the roads just a bit, but don't let that fool you. That also means it brings in that colder air, which means the air temperature can jump below freezing and likely stay there for a good chunk of the night, which is where most of us will be. 26, 25, 28, close to about 35 miles an hour down towards the island. So temperature and wind chill, this is the big story, and this is what it feels like on your skin. So the actual air temperature will sit in the upper 20s, but notice it will feel like the low 20s to about the upper to mid-teens as we get to about 5, 6 a.m. early tomorrow morning. And that, my friends, is going to be a very uncomfortable start to the day. So Futurecast-wise, these temperatures will continue to fall into the mid-20s and even low 20s up across the Brazos Valley, where they've seen plenty of icing up there today. Likely will sit below freezing for almost close to 24 hours. And then as we take it to about 7 a.m., we're talking mid-20s, upper 20s to right at about freezing as you get to the coast. And of course, the wind chill, with the wind chill advisory that is out for the entire area through tomorrow morning, it'll make the wind chill feel anywhere from single digits to the low teens. So just bundle up if you have to go out tomorrow. Best not to, but if you do, be ready for that. There will likely be some issues with that. And as I mentioned, hours below freezing, anywhere from 18 to 24 hours. You've gone below freezing if you're up towards Huntsville, Livingston, Brenham, and College Station, and y'all will likely stay there at least until late afternoon, maybe even into Saturday before we finally get above freezing. Anywhere from around 14 to 18 hours, 10 to 14, and about 6 to 9 as you get on down to the coast. So Futurecast wise, let's start Friday morning and then let's go in towards Saturday, because that's where we'll actually see temperatures jump back up above freezing by tomorrow afternoon. That's the good news. We won't get a lot of sunshine, but at least we will see that. Now, as we take it through the night and going into Saturday morning, notice we go from 50 or 40, I should say, to the mid-30s quickly, and then quickly below freezing once again as we go into your Saturday morning. 20s back off to the west. So that's 2 mornings in a row where we'll see the temperatures at or below freezing for much of the area aside from the coast. And then as we go in towards the afternoon, should warm up too. One of the things we've talked about here over the last couple of days, it's been a big concern for a lot of folks is this just like last year's freeze? The answer to that is no. Here's why. We spent 44 hours below 32 degrees. It will likely only be around 12 to 24, depending on where you're watching us right now. Coldest temperature was 13 degrees. We will not see that. We'll likely sit in the mid-upper 20s. And same story. We had 5 days below 40. We'll only be 1 full day, and we'll be out of there. 7 freezing days. We only saw 3 freezing days for us here. So that is certainly why we're going to see some difference. So cold blast is already here. The 4 Ps, make sure you take care of them as well. The people, pets, certainly, even if you get a blanket for them, that's not going to be enough for them, especially tonight with that wind chill. Cannot stress that enough. It's too cold for you to stand out there. It's definitely too cold for them if they've got a place. If you've got livestock and they can get them in a barn or somewhere away from the wind, that's probably best advice. The plants, make sure they're covered tonight. If not, they will likely be dead tomorrow. And certainly outdoor pipes, those are the ones. Sprinkler systems, just kind of check on those. If you happen to have an outdoor pipe that runs to, maybe a shed or something, just put a little drip on that, and it looks like you should be A-okay after that. So let me back things up here for those that are just joining us and give you a sense of what we're going to see for the next couple of hours. And then we'll wrap it up, and then we'll see you again as we get in towards 8 o'clock. So right now, as we mentioned, what we've been looking at is temperatures that have been looking anywhere from right around 35 degrees. That's kind of where we're at here at the station. And not only that, but if you look at our Futurecast, or our exact track, I should say, notice we still have a little bit of light icing out there. Most of this is moving fairly quickly, especially as you get in towards some of the southern counties there from El Campo on down towards Palacios. But if we put this in the Futurecast, it initializes fairly well, which is good. So if you're thinking, when does all this end? Here's what it looks like. We'll take it down to around the coast by about 9 o'clock tonight. By 10, 11 o'clock, it's pretty much offshore, and that's it. A lot of cloud cover, strong winds behind that means that we'll see those temperatures tank into the 20s tonight. So even those wet roads, if it's just rain that's falling now, will likely become very icy in some spots. Of course, the bridges, the overpasses, especially if you're on 59 and those overpasses that go over where the feeders go underneath, that's a bridge. So certainly if you do have to get out tonight or early tomorrow, if you have a way to take a feeder all the way to where you need to get to, it's probably best to stay closest to the ground. By the time we get into 6 o'clock, we should be A-okay after that. So as we mentioned, roads are still fairly wet for us here across Southwest. We've got 33 in Sugar Land, 33 at Bush, upper 20s as you get towards College Station and Brenham. Not only that, the wind chills right now feel like it's anywhere from the teens to the low 20s with those strong winds and those wind gusts that are about 20 miles an hour. And it will continue to stay quite chilly. In fact, let's take a look at our Futurecast as we take it through early tomorrow morning. Mid-low 20s, upper 20s as you get into downtown. That's where we could see some icy concerns. And, of course, that wind chill advisory out for a bitterly cold day starting tomorrow. So we'll continue to keep you updated here from right here at the KPRC 2 studios and at clicktohouston.com, as well as our YouTube channel. Certainly enjoy the Olympics tonight. Hopefully you're home all bundled up. Get yourself something warm to eat and drink. And I will see you all back at the top of the hour at 8 o'clock. Stay safe. And, of course, if you need any updates, you can either find it on our Facebook, Twitter page, Instagram account as well, or you can always message me at KPRC2 Justin Stapleton. Yeah, sorry. No, I'm over at the vid wall, Katie. I'm not here. Yeah, you ain't gonna move nothing. No, it's all good. Meteorologist Justin Stapleton, thanks for joining me again here at clickhouston.com and of course our YouTube channel and up on our Facebook page as well. So let's get you to what's happened in the last hour since we all talked. We've actually got our front that is moving very quickly. That may be the one saving grace to what we're going to see out there this evening so far, is that this front is really trucking quickly southward. It's an indication that you got that strong push of the winds behind it. So as that pushes its way in across the metro area and then eventually on down to the coast, notice that we're starting to see a bit of an end to some of the heavier precipitation as well. That's the good news. Now, it is still out there. I'll step out of the way real quick so you get a sense of what we're seeing. That's anywhere from right around Livingston as you get in towards Spurgeon, Corrigan as well, and then right out in towards Liberty County. That's where we've got some of the heavier, we'll call it the back end of this precipitation pushing on through. Now, I can tell you that right here at the station, we're in southwest. There actually is a little bit of light glaze that's starting to pop on everybody's car here at the station, even though the temperatures for us are still just above the surface. We're sitting at around 32 right now, as you can see at the bottom of your screen there. We'll likely start to see some of that wet weather change over to ice fairly quickly, but the good news is we're not adding a whole lot of extra ice. We've got anywhere from Ganado on over towards Wharton, Bay City as well, still looking at some light glazing, and I think that's about what we'll see. The good news is our Futurecast is initializing really well. That's nice to see because that gives us an indication the computer models have a real good handle about what they're seeing out there. So that means by about 9 o'clock tonight, we'll be pressing this on down towards Galveston and then eventually off the coast by about 10 o'clock. That's certainly good news as well. And then we go into the overnight hours. We'll keep just a chance for a little bit of light drizzle. And again, some of that could accumulate to a little bit of a light glaze. But that's about it so far. This is actually looks like it's going to turn out to be a little bit of a better situation for us as we go to about 6 o'clock. I do think that the morning commute is going to be very icy and messy in many areas because temperatures across the area will be below freezing area wide, and they'll likely sit there for a couple hours. And so as long as the roads aren't being utilized by any of the cars, which most times they won't into the overnight hours, by the time you get up and out the door by 6, 7, 8 o'clock, we're going to be looking at some very slick conditions. Thankfully, road crews will get a chance to get out and sort of brine some of those roads and maybe break up a little bit of that ice and do their best that they can overnight. But still, temperatures out there, it's tough sledding for a lot of us right now. We're sitting at 28 in Conroe, 30 in Katy, 28 towards College Station, 32 in Sugar Land, 34 in Pearland. And right now, Galveston, you don't have the full effect of this Arctic front. We're still sitting at around 41 degrees. So wind chills right now, 16 in Conroe, 24 is what it feels like in Cleveland. Feels like it's about 18 up into Huntsville. Feels like it's 19 in Brenham, 20 in Katy, and about 15 as we get in towards College Station. So we'll have to check. Do we have Brandon Walker Out east in northwest. Okay, so let's go to Brandon Walker. Reporter Brandon Walker here is in northwest Harris County. Brandon, you've been out on the roads all afternoon and all evening. We're starting to see some light glaze on the windshields here at the KPRC 2 studios in Southwest. What are the conditions you guys are encountering right now?
Yeah, Justin, so where we are right now, we're on the feeder, 290 feeder here in the Cypress area. We just passed a 7-car pileup, in fact, according to one of the people who was involved in all of that, because essentially what you see right now, slick conditions on area roadways. Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez sending out a tweet a little while ago alerting us to the potential for some icy road conditions here on 290 in northwest Harris County, getting pretty close to the Waller County line, more or less. We did have the opportunity to speak to a couple of those motorists, and they tell us, as you can see here live, you've got people with their flashers on driving slowly because conditions are very slick. This is in fact where that ice was reported here at the Batke exit, but maybe about a mile or so back again we saw the Harris County Sheriff's Office had taken drivers off of the freeway after they had collided. According to one witness, some 7 people because of the ice, and they could not control themselves. You're seeing now what drivers are up against right now at this hour, Justin, 8:04 p.m. And with things getting cooler, it's expected to get worse out here, which is why there is the reminder from law enforcement, also elected officials, to stay home if you can. As far as that is concerned, 2 of those drivers told me that, look, their plan right now is to get home. That's what they were trying to do when this happened. Yeah. No one was hurt, thank goodness. But when you think about, Justin, a 7-car pileup, people trying to get off the freeway's already slick, and we're talking the 7 o'clock hour. Now it's the 8 o'clock hour. Yep. That's essentially, that's reason there why officials say if you don't have to be on the roads, don't be on the roads. And It seems as though the people we talked to, at least after what they experienced, they're going to get home and get to safety.
That's probably smart. The interesting thing is, Brandon, where you guys are at right now, your temperature is right at about 29 degrees. So you've been under freezing, or below freezing, I should say, for at least 1 to 2 hours. Are you seeing any additional precipitation fall? Are you guys getting any sprinkles or anything on the windshield, or is it dry, quote unquote, in terms of that department?
Well, one of the smart things about being in the KPRC 2 storm tracker, you say 29 degrees, it says 28 degrees. Justin, you're on the money. Yes, the side of the vehicle here, because of course the distance and the wind and whatnot, it is frozen. We had to be careful getting into the truck here because the boards there are all frozen and whatnot. And I'll turn this camera around one more time, Justin, just show you folks now on the feeder, because it's safer to drive on the feeder than it is on the freeway because of the lack of elevation here. So that's smart. What we're seeing. Yeah, and so that's what we're seeing right now. We're about maybe Adrian, maybe a mile or 2 outside of where that pileup was we saw earlier. Talking to my partner in crime here, photojournalist Adrian Crooks, as we traverse the northwestern portion here of our area, approaching Heger Road here. If you know this area, getting to the Hockley part, Justin, getting further north and west, where, it's getting colder and colder.
Yeah, I bet it is. All right, well, thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that. You and Adrian, stay safe out there, and y'all get back safely tonight as well. Please take your time, and I think that was good advice from Brandon and everybody there. What you're seeing on the exact track radar is just what he was talking about, is that there's not a whole lot of extra rain falling now, or I should say sleet and freezing rain and ice at this point falling. We're kind of drying out, so to speak. But notice how cold the temperatures were and how wet the roads were there. That's an indication that it's going to continue to stay very icy out there from basically Livingston as you go on down towards Manville, Bay City, Lake Jackson, Galveston. I had somebody in Galveston talk to us here on our Facebook page a bit ago and said, hey, are we seeing sleet down there yet? No, not yet, but you will. The good news is that it should be about 9, 10 o'clock, and then that's offshore. Once it's done, we'll just have to watch for some light glazing as things continue to freeze throughout the night as we take it through about 6, 7 a.m. That's about it. So this is a better scenario than what we were looking at earlier today, when it looked like we could get another shot of some of that icing coming through tomorrow. Temperatures out there, this is what Brandy was talking about. They're right at about 28, 29 up there in northwest Harris County, 28 in College Station, 32 in Sugar Land, 33 in Mont Belvieu, and we've got 32 degrees at Hobby, feeling more like 21 even some teens out there if you factor in that strong wind, and that's what we've been seeing. And in fact, as we go through the rest of the night tonight, we're going to see those temperatures that continue to sit below freezing, and those wind chills will be down into the teens by about 4 or 5 o'clock. So a very bitterly cold night is expected regardless of what happens in terms of the road conditions. 13, 16, 15, 20-mile-an-hour winds, those wind gusts clocking close to 30 and about 32 as you get down to the coast. So let's run the Futurecast here as we take this through the night tonight and into tomorrow. That'll put us right at about mid-20s, upper 20s, low 30s as you get on down to the coast. And that's the concern, is that even though the precipitation will be done in whatever form it falls, these roads will remain icy and very slick, especially the neighborhood roads and the elevated areas. As Brandon mentioned a second ago, a lot of folks, and including the two of them, staying on the feeders, which is right on the ground. It gives you a little bit of insulation from the ground itself. Hard to say it's a whole lot, but it's better than going over those bridges where that cold air can get right underneath it, and it pretty much is going to be a mess. Wind chill advisories out as well. That's what it'll feel like tomorrow morning, anywhere from around 15 to 11 degrees and hours below freezing. This is part of the other issue why we told you to make sure you cover the pets, or you cover the plants, that is, and make sure to bring the pets in. Anywhere from the north side where you've gone below freezing and will likely stay there through about 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, anywhere from around 14 hours, 10 to 14 hours as you get in towards downtown. So that is what we'll be watching for. Want to hit this real quick before we send you back out on your way here for the rest of the 8 o'clock hour. A lot of questions over the last couple of days about, is this going to be the same as last year? Is the grid going to hold? Are we going to lose power? I think that there are some power outages out there, but this will not be like last year's freeze, because we will see the temperatures quickly jump up above freezing tomorrow afternoon. And we're talking about maybe one day of freezing temperatures, 2, 3 max, versus the 7 that we saw last year. It will not be the same. So that's certainly good news. So tomorrow morning, we'll quickly jump back up into the mid-30s. Now it's going to get real warm. About 40 is about all we'll hit, but still should be able to warm things up enough that we'll break up a little bit of that ice. The problem is that areas that just barely get above freezing, if they happen to melt a little of that ice by early Saturday morning, we'll see that start to reglaze pretty quickly. So keep that in mind. That will be something that we need to certainly keep a watch on. Weekend looks better, though. Upper 40s by Saturday. Sunday, we're back up into the mid-50s. Overnight lows will be below freezing both Saturday and Sunday morning. And then we'll get ourselves out of the deep freezer here, back up into the 60s and 40s as we go in towards Wednesday, Thursday of next week. I'll continue to monitor things right here at the KPRC 2 Weather Center. Make sure that if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can always hit me up on Facebook. Message me as well. I've been answering some of the folks that have been talking to us on our Facebook Live page, and of course at clicktohouston.com. And don't forget to download Frank's free forecast app if you don't have it on your phone. It's a great resource giving you an indication of closures, where there's rain, and if there's any major alerts, ice, winter weather, or otherwise on your phone and your smart tablet. We'll let you go for the rest of the hour, and Chief Meteorologist Frank Billingsley will be back at 9 p.m. and we'll get you an update throughout the rest of this cold, icy night.
Right. 10-9. Hello, everyone. I'm Chief Meteorologist Frank Billingsley. We're still watching the system move across. I want to hand this off here. Thanks. And obviously still under all these winter alerts. The main one I'm concerned with, if you've been outside, you know it's cold and windy. These winds are north at 15 to 20. But the ice glaze, that is a bit of an issue and will continue to be, because even though all of this is beginning to pull out of here, which is certainly good news, this is the last 6 hours, and you can see this move right across with a mix of freezing rain and sleet, even some snow flurries, a lot of very light rain, and that light rain has pushed across, and now it's really Liberty County to eastern Harris County, down into Galveston County, parts of Chambers County. So the little bit of this is still left, not a lot. As it continues to push on through, we will be in pretty good shape as far as any more precipitation coming in. However, what is there, now that temperatures are right there at freezing or below, that's causing problems on the freeways. And keep in mind that, like the Southwest Freeway, people don't think they're going over bridges, but every time you go over one of the exits, then you're going over technically a bridge, because the Buffalo Speedway is going underneath, or Kirby's going underneath, or Bissonnette's going underneath. And so consequently, that we really have all these bridges that we have to go over on every highway that we have. So they can all become rather dangerous. And then you do get elevated surfaces like the West Park Tollway and some of the high rises, and those become even more problematic and freeze pretty quickly. I know Michael Leparty, do we have Michael now? I know Michael Leparty. Michael, hi, it's Frank. Where exactly are you, and what's going on?
Hey, Frank. So I'm at a gas station at the corner of West Park Tollway, and this is FM 1464 behind me. If you look up there, the Fort Bend County Precinct 1 Constable's Office had tweeted out that there was an estimated 10-vehicle crash up there. When we got here a little while ago, we did see the emergency vehicles and the flashing lights up there, but it looks as though it has cleared, and that happened just a couple of minutes ago. But you can see how elevated that part of the roadway is. I got off the phone with the constable a short time ago, and he told me there were minor injuries only in that. We did notice that there was, as we were headed eastbound towards Harris County, we did notice that one of the on-ramps there was blocked off, so people were not able to get on that section of the tollway. And when we were farther down towards Grand Parkway, we were down in that direction by FM, I think it was 1093. They also had one of the other flyover ramps blocked as well. So clearly ice is a concern out here tonight, but I will tell you right now, as you had mentioned, Frank, don't have anything coming down where we're standing. It's just really bitter cold, and obviously the ice is really what is the big concern.
So I guess one thing we can hope for with the wind, and I'm sure you can feel that, is that it would help dry out the roads at least a little bit and just cause evaporation, and that would help with the situation. Have you been driving and seen some good news in that regard? Have you seen some of any dry out of the roads?
Honestly, I have not. From where we were driving, and we were just along the tollway behind us on the feeder road, and we came down part of Grand Parkway as well, and it looked as though most of the road was wet. Now I'm just looking in the parking lot behind us here, and it looks like there are just a few dry spots over here, but by and large, everywhere we were going, it looked as though the road was still wet. And you are right about the wind. I mean, obviously it is very cold, but then when that wind kicks up, you can feel just how chilly it is. But most of the areas I'm seeing, it looks as though the road is still wet, and it's obviously still very cold out here, Frank.
Okay, thanks for that. Any other advice? I know you did a story last night on KPRC 2 at 10 about just tips for drivers. I know you've been out in it yourself. Anything you want to pass on there?
Well, I'm lucky because I've got my coworker here who's been behind the wheel, and he's been doing a good job of keeping us safe. Yeah, I mean, obviously we did that story last night as well, just some of the tips, but one of them may be, especially where ice is a concern, just to stay off the road, maybe the best advice probably at this point.
Yeah, I think I heard from Harris County was hoping everybody would be put by 10 o'clock, be where they need to be by 10 tonight, and stay up. Okay, thank you, Michael Leparty. I appreciate it so much. Be safe out there, and we'll see you on our news at 11 after the Olympics, if not before on our webcast. So
thanks, sir.
Thank you. All right, back to radar we go, and you can see there's where we're seeing these showers now. But on the very light side, a little wintry mix in there also. I know even in Galveston County, we've had reports of the light rain with some sleet mixed in. So even though you may be seeing all green, certainly there's a possibility of a little sleet. This is the Futurecast as we go into 9, 10, 11 o'clock. So really just another couple of hours, and this will be off the coast. And that pretty much will be that as far as precipitation is concerned. The rainfall totals are, and this is the last 6 hours, are really light by and large. You can see this light blue, 0.04 of an inch, 0.06 of an inch of rain, maybe closer to a 1/4 inch of rain up here in the northeast part of Harris County and Liberty County, but that's been the heaviest. And so we don't have a lot of water on the roads, but that glaze, that can cause accidents very quickly. So please, if you don't have to get out on the roads, don't. Let's talk about the temperatures. 27, 28, 30 in Tomball right now, 31 at Bush. So dropping below freezing, right at freezing, Hobby, Sugarland, El Campo, Cleveland. 32 at Hobby, 39 on the island, and then you factor in the winds and the feels like numbers, 13, 17, 16, 22, 19. It is really cold out there, and obviously the winds, as even Michael said, are still really strong. So they're sustained. 28 in Galveston. You have a wind advisory that continues through tomorrow. 20-mile-an-hour winds at Hobby and Bush, 17 at Conroe and Katy. And the gusts haven't let up. Usually by the time the sun goes down and by the time we're at 9 o'clock at night, the gusts are all gone. In this case, that low that's been bringing in this very cold air is strong enough to keep those gusty winds right on in here. 35 mile an hour, 36 in Galveston. So it's a breezy one for sure. As we go through the next several hours, we're already 31 at Bush, so 31, 32. We're going to stay there, 30 degrees as we go to midnight, 28. Will be our low. We may see 27 in spots. As you'll see, the wind chills are going to be pretty rough. The Futurecast all across the board takes these temperatures, especially out west, into the low and mid 20s, 24, 25, 25 Huntsville. And certainly outlying areas could be down in the 20, 21 degree range. So protect those pipes. That's a hard freeze, and that could cause some pipe problems when you're below 24 degrees. 27 Tomball, 28 for Bush and downtown, 29 Pearland. So mid and upper 20s mostly for the Houston area. And then we may see a little bit of a light freeze down in Galveston. 30, 31 is at least a possibility. And the wind chills tomorrow 6 a.m., there are wind chill advisories for the area, and that's why we're looking at 11, 13, 15 degrees is the way it's going to feel with those north winds coming in at 15 to 20 miles per hour. The hours below freezing, that's always important to gardeners, and hopefully you've done something about your plants already, because if you're freezing now, you're not going to come out of that until noon tomorrow. So here it is at 9 o'clock, so if you're at freezing, then you're talking about a 14-hour freeze for yourself, if not 15. And some of you, especially the Brenham College Station area, have been there since early this evening, late this afternoon. But we are seeing easily a 14 to 18 to 14 hour freeze in downtown, Pearland, Sugarland, and then coastal counties. Not quite there, but you're getting there. So I think noontime is sort of the magic number to get everybody above freezing. Here's a look at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I've got everyone 30, 31, 29, 28. So we're still freezing at 9 a.m. Once we get to 12, 34, 35, 36, 33. So we are above freezing by noon, but it doesn't look like, even with sunshine coming in, that we're not going to get much above 33 until we get to the noontime hour. So we get to 40 maybe for a high is going to be about it, and then 8 p.m., 34, 35. So we get to 40, we start going right back down. The winds will be a lot calmer tomorrow, but it's still going to be cold. And even with these temperatures, the wind chills will be right down around 20, make it feel around 20 degrees. All 7 a.m. numbers. Not as cold as overnight tomorrow, but still 28, 29, 30 degrees. So it's going to be chilly. The wind chill, here's a little explainer on that. Your body puts off heat. You know that. And we keep a lot of that heat trapped, especially with clothes and lots of layers. And that's why you have to fight wind chill, because any exposed skin, that is what loses heat. And that's what wind chill is all about. So you want to make sure you're really well covered. If you don't have any wind, then 20 degrees feels like 20 degrees. But if you do have exposed skin and it's windy out there, then a 20-mile-an-hour wind will make 20 degrees feel more like 4 degrees. So it's pretty tough out there, especially with those winds. So just make sure that you're covered. Always keep your head covered also. People, pets, plants, pipes, those are the magic 4 Ps, and pools too in this case. You want to make sure your swimming pools are protected. If there's good news, it's that it's going to get to almost 40 tomorrow. So melting will occur across the area by afternoon. And so we won't have this ice problem anymore. 48 Saturday, 56 Sunday. So it does warm up in the afternoons, even though it's going to be cold overnight tonight, 28 and colder, 30 to mid-20s Saturday. 30 on Sunday, sunshine in the forecast from 40 to 48 to 56 to 58 on Tuesday, 62, 64. You'll notice the Super Bowl is on the map for a week from Sunday. Saturday, the Sabercats have their home opener. So still a lot going on. The world is turning. Just make sure that you stay warm and stay safe. We'll continue to keep you updated. We'll be back again right at 10 o'clock and then our news at 11. So join us. And if you're not watching us, enjoy the Olympics. We'll see you then. 10, 9, 8, 7. Hello, everyone. I'm Chief Meteorologist Frank Billingsley. A lot to update you on. I want to show you some of these Click-To pins. So if you have them, keep them coming for sure. This is sleet on a trampoline earlier today in Pinehurst. You can see windshields glazing over in Plantersville up to the north of Pinehurst. And if you know where the Texas Renaissance Festival is, it's about 8 miles north of there, Plantersville. This is Katy, and you can see on the grill there all of the frozen precipitation that they have seen. We have these winter alerts. There's a lot of them. The precipitation is pretty well stopping, so now it's more about what's on the roads already. Glazing from anywhere, and a glaze is causing all kinds of traffic accidents in Harris County. To 1/8 of an inch of ice up toward Madisonville and off toward the Brenham area. Temperatures in the 20s with those north winds. The chills will be in the teens, and the sleet and the freezing rain is really an issue right now if you are on the west side. I think that's simply because as this system moved across, watch how it's so thick on the west side, and then it gets across Houston, and it really thins out pretty quickly. And so we didn't have nearly as much continued precipitation on the east side as we did the west side. We said all along the west side was going to have more of a go of it, and that's exactly what is happening. You can see there's still a little bit of a lingering shower or two up in Hardin County, maybe a bit in Liberty County, eastern Harris County, just a touch here and there, and then down to the south. All of this is moving out of Matagorda. But generally speaking, it's pretty easy to see that the precipitation is moving out and away pretty quickly. And of course, the Futurecast does exactly that, continues to move it on out of here. So we're dealing with what is on the roads and the problems that it is causing. We've had pretty much a glazing of precipitation, 1/10 of an inch, a little more than that there in the Kingwood area and up toward Liberty County, as much as 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch in spots. But it's mainly just been a little bit of an annoying rain for much of the late afternoon and evening, but that has caused problems. And this, you can see, you got to almost step back here, the Southwest Freeway, there we go, at 290. Look at that backup. That's because at 59 southbound at Cottonwood in Fort Bend County, due to ice, they have had to close that, and they're trying to get everyone off the freeway. So that's 59 southbound at Cottonwood in Fort Bend County, where they have closed the freeway, basically the Rosenberg area, and you're getting everybody off. But you see all the problems because of that. And that's so even if you're not the one in the ice, if you're the one in that mess, then it's because of the ice. So here's some other closures. This is I-10 at FM 359, all lanes there. That's out past Katy. 290 Waller County, all lanes there. There are a number of reports on 290 between the Beltway and Waller County of multiple collisions because of ice. West Park Tollway at 1464, all lanes there. State Highway 249 at Beltway 8 has ice on it, and then the flyovers, 90, which is the Grand Parkway, basically 99 at 290, I-10 West at 1093. So as you can see, all of this is on the west side where we've had the most problems, and that's also where you've gotten colder quicker. 27 at College Station right now, 28 at Brenham and Katy, 29 Tomball still, and this is probably the big news. Everybody's at freezing or below with the exception of the island. But we're at 31, 32, 28, 30, 31, 32. So we are right at freezing or below. Now, with the winds kicking up, the temperatures should not fall too much more, but we're watching that carefully. We'll have an update on our news after the Olympics at 11. But you can see these wind chills across the area in the teens to about 20 degrees. The winds are still really strong. 21, 22, 16, 13 in the gusts, 29, 25, 30 on the island. So it's breezy, gusty winds. So you would think that the winds would keep up the heat from the day, from what there was, if there's any left, and mix it in enough so that we wouldn't see temperatures go down too drastically. We're at 31 right now, so 30 to 29, 28, maybe 27 overnight, and then start coming back up to about 34 by 10 in the morning. But this period here, 28 degrees, maybe 27, 6, 7 a.m., and these are the wind chills right there in the teens. Now, some models are suggesting it could get closer to 26 overnight, and that starts to make a difference. I would prepare for a cold night, obviously. 11 p.m., I've got us at 29, 30. You'll notice as we go into the overnight, I'm going to stop this at 7, 24, 25, 26. 27 Sugarland, Tomball, 28 Bush downtown. But really, with those numbers, almost any of us in this area could see that number for your particular neighborhood drop to 25 or 26. It's certainly possible. And 30 on Galveston Island and High Island, 31, even a light freeze there on the island. So with that in mind, 6 a.m. wind chill with this wind chill advisory right there still in the teens, 15, 16 degrees, 18 degrees is the way it is going to feel because of that wind. So these hours below freezing, a lot of you have already been below freezing since late afternoon. But we're not going to get out of freezing until 11, 12 o'clock tomorrow. The sun's going to come up, but it's going to take until the late morning to get us above the freezing mark. So we're looking at 18, 24, 14 to 18, 10 to 14, 6 to 9 hours below freezing. And now, as of right now, all of us, except the island, the barrier islands here, are at freezing or below. So the Futurecast from 9 a.m. tomorrow, I'm going to pick it up again, we're still 29, 30, 31 degrees. It's not until we get to noon that we're 34, 35, 36. So improvement comes, and then in the afternoon, 40 degrees is about as high as it's going to get. So it's going to be a cold Friday. It'll be sunny, but it's still going to be cold, and it's still going to be a bit breezy. The winds will start to calm down by Friday night. We're right there at 34, 35 for Friday night, and then overnight into Saturday, this is 7 a.m., 28, 27, 29, 30. So maybe some improvement by a degree or two as far as low temperatures on Saturday, but not much. So keep everything protected right on through Saturday, and we warm up, and we're going to be again on Sunday. This is that wind chill explainer we've been watching. We dress in layers. That's the way to fight wind chill because we lose heat. Always keep a hat on your head. And normally that's okay if you're well dressed because 20 degrees feels like 20 degrees if there's no wind. But wind takes the heat away from your body, the skin. It's really for skin that's not protected. So if you're protected, you're really okay with wind chill. But it's hard to protect your whole body unless you're walking around just in a blanket, I guess. And it affects pets too, animals. Any sentient being with skin can be affected by this. Includes horses, so make sure that your animals are protected because you get a 20-mile-an-hour wind. 20 degrees can make you feel more like 4. So that's the problem with wind chill. It's really effective. In the meantime, there's a cold blast. Obviously, take care of everybody. People, pets, plants, pipes, cover exposed pipes, sprinkler systems need to be protected if you are in that 22 to 25 degree range. Once we get those really hard freezes for multiple hours, then we can really have sprinkler issues. Hopefully you protected your plants, but you're going to need to keep them protected overnight into Saturday morning and overnight into Sunday morning. So don't, because it gets sunny tomorrow and it's 40, think, oh, I can take the plants out, because you can't. Make sure the pets come inside. Here's that relief, at least for highs. So that's the good news there. And then we go next week into a pretty quiet one. There's not much going on, maybe a slight chance for a shower next Friday, and temperatures slowly warm up. But these are cold mornings, almost every morning, 30, 36, 36, 38. Even 40, 42, 44, those are cold mornings, a little more like we expect this time of year. Not this, but at least we improve. But right now, I think the key message is don't get on the roads, especially on the west side, but try not to get on the roads if you can at all avoid it. All right, we will see you with the reporters. They have their full reports, and in fact, that's what they are doing right now, is getting all of those together. So we'll have those, a full report on the storm, what you can expect in the morning, talk about the commute. You may know that our show is going to start a half an hour early tomorrow morning. It's going to start at 4 a.m. so that all of the morning crew can tell you exactly what those roads look like, all the closings, all the school closings. If there are any business closings, it's the weekend, so some of these businesses may end up just closing early. You never know. So we'll have all of that tomorrow morning, and we will see you with the news at 11 o'clock right after the Olympics, which have all been pretty exciting. So we'll see you on TV then. Thanks for joining us.